Hello. Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm really sorry, just got a little late in joining in. But can you all give me just 5 minutes? I think I'm still having some network issues over here. I'm just trying to get that resolved. Can you just give me 5 minutes and let's just start in that?
Hello. Yeah, here. So sorry to keep you all waiting. Uh, so we can start now. I'll just share my screen. Okay. So let's start now. Okay. So right, just to do a quick recap, right? So like yesterday, what we did was we saw how we can create a database and how we can create tables inside that, right? So that was a small example that we saw that how a database, creation of the table, defining the column names, data types, and finally inserting some data inside it. See now, what happens is like whenever a database is designed, right? Whenever a database is created, so how that database design starts is it is not that no person or a developer will straight away jump onto the SQL server and he will say, okay, let's start creating a database and the tables and all. No, it doesn't happen that way. So in real time scenarios, because creation of a database is something that will be used for the lifetime, right? And it is also designed, I mean, it is also something from where you will be, which you will be using day in, day out to manage and fetch your data. So what happens is a general process that is followed for creating this the whole databases. It starts it we follow certain steps in that. The first step in that is we define the purpose of that database, right? First of all, you will define that what that idea is, what type of data you will have, and what will be your goal at the end of the day, right? When you create that database, what type of data you will be fetching day in, day out. You define the purpose of that. Okay, like for example, if you are creating a database for a superstore, so definitely the company, the firm would be interested that they should be able to fetch that how many orders did they sold in a day. They should be able to fetch that information, how many new customers they have been acquiring, how many products, how the products are being sold, how much quantity of products is left in their warehouses. So all those things they should be able to track right away. So what happens is then what the developers do is they gather the data. They will, okay, they see, okay, this is the kind of a data they have been generating. Then what they will do is they will start creating the tables, that what type of tables we will need and what are the different columns we will need. And then in the tables, what they do is they specify some primary keys, right? And then what happens is when the primary keys are defined, the relationships are created among the tables. Now, what is a primary key, right? Now, this is something that I also asked. So, what exactly do we mean by a primary key? So, we will come to the steps of fourth and fifth in a little bit of a time. But now we will try to understand what are the different keys that we have. Okay. Now, what happens is basically when we create any table, okay, like yesterday, let me just open that up. So this was a bit of a time. What was the table that we did? I'm just not able to recall the name. Was it students, I guess, or employees? TVL employees. Yeah. See, no, this was the table that we created yesterday. So now what we do is when we create a table, so there are some general terminologies that we use. Now, all the columns that we have inside this, they are called as super key, right? I mean, all the columns, employee ID, employee name, age, and date of joining. So what we do is we call that as a super key, right? Set of attributes that collectively identifies an entity in that set, right? So now what I mean by entity is basically it's like the complete table that you have, right? That is called as an entity. Now, this is some terminology that we will use. So when you create a table, okay, so this table, the table that you would have created, that is called as an entity also, right? This is the term that we use for creating this, when we create the database and all. So we call table as an entity. And that entity, right? So this table is a complete entity, and all these columns that you have, all these columns are called as attributes. Okay, these are called as attributes. The entity is employee table, and the attributes of this entity are employee ID, employee name, date of birth, passport number, SSN. Okay, so now whenever a table is created, so what we do in that table is we always try to create a column which will always have a unique value only, right? That is done so that we do not have any duplicate data. We can reduce the chances of duplicacy of the rows. So that is why every table always has some columns which are used as a primary key. Now, what is a primary key? A primary key is a column that will only have unique values, and it will not even have a null as in blank. Okay, so that is called as a primary key. Now, if you see in this table, we have employee ID, employee name, date of birth, address, passport number, and SSN. Now, according to you, okay, now you all tell me which are the columns which will always have unique values only. Which are those columns?
Passport number, SSN.
Right? So basically, employee ID, passport number, and social security number. Right now, these are three fields which are always going to have a unique data only. They are not going to have a duplicate data, because no two people can have same passport number, or no two people can have same social SSN or the employee ID. So now what we do is, first of all, we define, now all these columns are called as super key. Now the columns which have the potential that they will never have any duplicate data, all those keys are called as a candidate key. Okay, all those keys together, so employee ID, passport number, and SSN, these are the candidate keys. When I say that these are candidate keys, that means these are some columns which are not going to have any duplicate data. Now, out of these three columns, I can define any one column as a primary. I can take this also as a primary key. I can take this also as a primary key, or I can take this also as a primary key. So what I will do now is I will assign one of them as a primary key in my table. And when I pick a column which is a primary key, it is taken on that understanding that that column will be used in other tables also. Right now, if you see, employee ID is a reference or an identification of an employee. So employee ID will come in multiple tables. It will come in the table of, the salary table also. It will come in the HR table also. It will come in the transportation table also. So based on that understanding, I will define the most commonly used table as employee ID as a primary key. Now, when you define one column as a primary key, then what happens is the remaining ones, they are called as alternate keys. Alternate keys means they could have also been the primary key, but since we have already chosen our primary key, now they become the alternate keys now. Are you all able to get my point? So these are the terminology that we use. a primary key, a column that will have, that we have assigned as a column which will only have unique values, that column will actually work like a unique identifier for that entire table, right? For that entire table, it is going to act like a unique identifier.
I have a question. So in key definition, it's saying a minimal super key. What does it mean? Minimal. Minimal means that the value.
A subset out of it. So you have all the super keys. A minimal super key as in a subset out of it, which will only have unique values inside that. So that is basically a candidate key. Okay, so super key is basically all the columns. A minimal super key is employee ID, passport number, and SSN. So this is something, the keys together, these are called as candidate key. And out of that, so if you see, it's being in a hierarchy that we are following. First you have super keys, the keys. From there we are picking what are the candidate keys. And from all those candidate keys, there will be one which will become a primary key.
So is candidate key a key which which is a candidate for becoming primary?
Yes, which has the potential of becoming a primary key. Now this super key and candidate key, these are just the theoretical concepts, but primary key is something that is implemented, right? The candidate key doesn't exist in the SQL Server. It is just for the understanding purpose, that what are the terms that we use to define it. Okay. So now talking about a primary key, right? So primary key is a special relational database table column designated to uniquely identify all the table records, right? So now when we create a table, and now one table can have only one primary key. You cannot assign more than one primary key in a table. And when you have assigned any column as a primary key, so what is going to happen is it will only accept the unique data, and it will also not accept any null value. Now this is what is going to happen in that. Okay, so let's see how do we create it and how do we work with it. So if I come back to the SQL Server, so you can all open the SQL Server now. Okay, so you can use, first of all, the first thing is you have to activate your database of Intuit. Okay, I hope you all are able to open this up.
It's disconnected for me. I tried to connect it again back to the database engine. It's not connecting back. It's still at the bottom, it's showing disconnected.
Can you share your screen once?
Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes.
So,
So it's disconnected. So can you click in the query window? Just click inside the query window. Query window, yeah. So it's right now disconnected. So click on connect and database engine. I just connected. Okay. So now what you have to do is you just click inside this and click inside the query. Now write a simple query. Use Intuit, the database. Now so we just execute this. How you have to just connect it again. Click on connect.
Yeah, done. Okay, thanks.
See now, yesterday the tables that we created, there were two tables that we created. Now what I'm going to do is we will drop these tables because we will create these tables fresh again. So now if there is a table that is already created and you want to drop it. So what you do is you write drop table and table name. So when you write this command, what SQL is going to do is it is going to drop these tables. So let's do it. So if I say drop table, and you can drag and drop also from here, you can simply drag the table name like this. So it is going to drop this table. And similarly, I will say drop table employees, and we execute it. Now this is going to drop the second table also. So if you see now, both the tables would be, now you just refresh it. So you'll check the tables now. So the tables won't be there. So we have dropped it. Okay, so just drop them. See, now I would like to first of all explain you in the Excel that what exactly we are going to do so that we can all understand it. So what we will be doing is we will create one table, which we will call it as the TVL employee, right? I'll call this as TBL employee. And in this, we will keep employee ID, right? We will keep employee name and his date of joining, and we will keep his department ID. Okay, this is the information that we are going to keep. That the name of ID of the employee, employee name, date of joining, and primary and department ID. And we will create another table like this. And this I will call it as TBL departments. And over here, we are going to call this as department ID. And we will keep department name. That's it. We are going to keep the two fields over here. Okay. Now, see, now just try to understand it, what first of all conceptually, and then we will implement the same thing inside it. So what happens in a company, right? What do you think? What happens first? First, the departments are created or the employees come up? Departments, right? So in a company, the departments are designed. And then what happens is when the new employees are hired, they are hired for a specific department, right? That is how the things happen. Now, what we will do is we will be creating a table in which we will have department ID and the name of the department. Okay, so like, you know, the company can have 4 departments. Suppose I'm saying uh, the department ID and the department name. Okay, ID will be like 1, 2, 3. So we have the departments like HR, finance, and insurance, and the travel. Okay, now these are the 3 departments that the company has. Now, when a new employee is hired, right, his ID would be 1. Suppose his name is Sam, and he joined today, and he has joined in the finance department. So we are not storing the department name, we are storing the department ID, right? So he's joined in finance. So I will put 2. Okay. And same way, second employee joined. His name was Tom. He also joined today. And he joined the department 4. Now, is it possible that Tom can join department 4? No, right? Because we don't have 4th department. We only have 3 departments, 1, 2, and 3. So now this is where the concept has to come up and which we will be designing. So in both the tables, right? If I see in the department table, I can keep this as a primary key because department ID is going to be unique. and it will never be blank. There will always be some ID that will represent that department, right? See, I can make department name also as a primary key, but as a best practice, if you have two options, IDs and names, we should always use ID as a primary key and not the name. Okay. Same way in this table, employee ID is going to be my primary key. Now let's start and try to create this. If I come back to the SQL Server, what I'm going to do right now is I'll create my first table that would be departments. So I will say create table TBL departments. And in this, I am having two columns. One is department ID, which would be integer. And then I would have department name, which would be character with a size of 10. Okay. See, now what happens is, now a quick thing over here to understand. When we use character data type, okay, when we use character data type, what I have done is I have defined the size as 10. That means you cannot save a department name of more than 10 characters. Okay. Now what SQL does is for each character, SQL takes 1 byte. Okay. If you store a name Amit, Amit has 4 characters. So that means SQL is going to take 4 bytes of memory. Okay. Now, when you define a data type as character, what happens in that case is over here. Now just have a look at it once. I have defined the size maximum as 10. Okay. In HR, how many characters do I have? I have 2. In finance, I have 7. And in travel, I have 6. Although number of characters are less, right? If you see 2 bytes, 7 bytes, and 6 bytes, but in the backend, right? In the backend, what is going to happen is SQL is going to store or reserve 10 bytes of memory for each of the departments. That means, although the memory that I have consumed is only 15 bytes, but the memory that SQL has allocated or reserved for this is that is 30 bytes, right? So now, don't you think there is a wastage of space that is happening? Because every time if I'll have more such information, there could be a lot of space that will just go unused, because my department name has two characters, but I've reserved the space of 10. So 8 bytes are not getting utilized. Okay. So what we do in such scenario is we use another type of a data type that is called as varchar. Now varchar over here stands for variable character. Okay. That stands for variable character. Okay. Now variable character means, now if you have defined the size as 10, that means the maximum characters you can store is 10. But if you would have stored a department name as HR with 2 characters, it is going to only utilize 2 bytes. And over here it is going to utilize only 7 bytes. And over here it is going to take only 6 bytes. So in the back end, you have although specified the maximum size as 10, but the memory that it will use is still 15, but it will not allow you to enter more data than that. Okay, this is called as varchar, variable character. And how do we define it? It's just that instead of writing char, if you write varchar, this is what will make it as variable character. Okay, I hope you all are able to get the point. Okay. So now what I'll do is table is created. Now department ID. This is something that we have to define as a primary key, right? This is what we so we have seen that now department ID can be used as a primary key. So what I will do is, in order to tell SQL Server that this is a primary key, you simply write primary over here. You can write primary key together also, or you can just write primary also. Both are the same. Now after the column, if you have defined that this is integer type and this will be a primary key, now SQL will understand that this table is acting like a primary key now, and this will not accept any duplicate data or a null data, right? So now we will create this table.
I have a question. When we write a comment, to start a comment, we put the double dash, but is there something to end the comment?
So in the straight line, it will keep on writing, and the next line, if you hit enter over here, so you can start. So when you come in the next line, the comment automatically gets end. It's ended.
Okay, but in SQL, there's no other way to end the comment.
You can write this semicolon in that case. That's it.
Okay, like if I'm writing a comment in between the code, like after primary key or after primary, but if I write it, then the whole D name varchar will become like.
I mean, you won't write like this, like
Yeah.
similarly. No, so in the line, you won't be able to write it. It
Okay.
should come in a separate line.
Okay.
Okay, so please all of you create this table. Okay. See, now let's refresh this, right? Refresh the database and open the tables. So you will just find this one table that we have just created. I don't know why I think the system needs a restart. It's taking a lot of time.
Hi, can you please show how to drop the table once again?
And just, yeah, this is. So to drop the table, we just say drop table and table name.
Okay.
This, this table name is coming in this way because you can drag and drop. So when you drag something like this, so it automatically brings those square brackets and all. You can simply write TVL underscore departments also. That is also the same thing. You can write it like this also. So that will be the same. Okay. So now you see this table is created. If I'll expand this and you will check the columns, you will notice something new over here. See, in against this table, against us in this table, for the column department ID, you will all notice that there is a small symbol of key that is coming. There is a key symbol that is coming. Okay. And it's also written PK. PK means primary key, right? Then the data type is written, and then it's written not null. Remember, this is something that we discussed yesterday. So see, in department ID, it is coming not null, but in department name, it is coming null. Why it is coming not null? Not null means that this column is not going to accept any null value, right? This column is not going to accept any null value, and that is because of that primary key assignment that this thing happened. Because primary key cannot accept any null value. So now this is a constraint that SQL has applied on it. Yeah, so mandatory. We have to put some information, right? I have to put that. Now let's try to insert some data inside it. If I say I insert into TVL departments values department 1, which is HR, department 2, which is finance, department 3, which is travel. These are the 3 departments that we have. Let me insert the data. So the data has been inserted. So I have this data being stored in this table now. Okay. Now what I will do is I will try to insert some duplicate data. If I say I want to insert into this department where I am saying department ID is 1 and department is suppose operations. I was trying to insert some new row. Now what is happening over here is I'm inserting this new data. 1 is already inserted in this table. 1 is already there. If you try to do that now again, it will throw an error. So now if you see, SQL gives me an error, violation of primary key, cannot insert duplicate key in this table. The duplicate column key value is 1. So you are trying to enter a value 1, which is duplicate. Okay, so it throws an error. So it will not allow me to add any duplicate data inside that column now. Okay. Same way, if you try to add a null, again it is going to throw an error. Cannot insert the value null right into this column, does not allow nulls, insert phase. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is we are going to create another table. But before we create another table, that is this, I'm going to explain you a concept again. This is something again, a new thing that you will understand. So like, we have understood that what is a candidate key, what is a primary key. There is something called as foreign key. Okay, now definition of a foreign key is it's a key which is already a primary key in another table. So this is what the definition of a foreign key is, right? It is a key that is already a primary key in another table. So if I come back over here in this table, if you see department ID is a primary key and department ID is also coming over here, right? So now department ID is something that will be a foreign key over here. Okay, this will be a foreign key because this key is already a primary key in another table. Getting the point, what I'm trying to say?
Yes, does the spelling need to be the same for the keys in different
Sorry?
tables? Spelling needs to be the same like DEPTID even in employees table?
Spelling name doesn't matter. So spelling name could be different also.
Okay.
So whether they are same or because ultimately it's about the data that you have inside it. That's important.
So we have to assign it as foreign key then when we create employee.
So we will be assigning that.
Okay.
Right. Now the question is that why do I need it? See, when you create a foreign key, it creates a connection between the two tables. It is going to create a connection between the two tables, that these two tables are connected to each other on the basis of department ID, right? Now, when you create any foreign key, when you create a foreign key, now this foreign key is linked to this primary key. That means this column over here, it is only going to accept that value which is already here, which is already present over here. If the value is not present over here, it will not accept that value. It is not going to accept that value. Getting it? So now let's try to create it and let's try to understand it practically. Now what I'm going to do is I will say create table, and that is TBL employees. And in this table, what we have is we have the columns as employee ID, which is integer and also work like a primary key. Then we have employee name, which is varchar of size 10. Then we have date of joining, which is date type. And lastly, we have department ID. Okay, so we have department ID. Now this will be integer. It is in the form of a number. What we will do is we will say this table or this column, it references the TBL departments. Column is department ID. Okay, so I am saying these are employee ID, it is integer primary key. Employee name, this is character. Date of joining, it is date. And department ID, it is an integer, but it references. So for creating a foreign key, you do not write foreign key as a word, right? For terminologies, we use the word foreign key. But how do we define it? We simply say that this column, it references TBL departments table, and in that you have a column department ID, it is linked to that. Okay. Now if you run this, the table will be created. So table has been created now. Let us refresh the database. Go to the tables. Here you have TBL employees and columns. See, now it is again mentioned that employee ID is primary key, employee name, date of joining, and department ID. Now this FK is written and a key is created. That this column is a foreign key. Okay. Now what we're going to do in this is, let us insert some data inside it. Insert into TBL employees, values, ID is 1, name is Tom, and date of joining is today's date, or maybe 0305. So I'm just giving date of March, comma, and department. He is working in second department. Now I add another employee. His ID is 2. His name is Sam, and his date of joining is 2021. And he is working in department number 3. So I'm just inserting 2 rows. Okay, so you can write and insert the data inside it. See, now what is going to happen is, suppose let me try to insert some data inside it. I am trying to add a new data for a new employee. His ID is 3 and suppose his name is Harry, and I by mistake I give his department as 4. Okay, and if I try to insert this, insert field, because of the foreign key constraint. Now it is saying because of the foreign key condition, that information is not present in that. So that is why it is not allowing me to insert it. So first of all, I will have to insert department ID 4 in the department table. Only then I will be able to insert it. Making sense? So if you see now, this is where the data integrity has come into picture. All the data that we are storing is being stored in a structured way, and secondly, data is connected to each other. So we cannot have a garbage or error values inside the different tables. Now, if I come back to this Excel now, these are the two tables. Can I say that these two tables are connected to each other on the basis of department ID? Can I say this? That this over here is a primary key and this over here is a foreign key, and these two tables are connected to each other on the basis of department ID, right? Now this is something that is called as a ER diagram, right? This is called as a ER diagram, which stands for entity relationship diagram. Okay, so now if I'll go back to these steps that we were discussing, it will make more sense now. What we do is we create the tables, we specify the primary keys, and then we create relationships among them. We create the relationship between the tables with the help of foreign key. Okay, that is how the relationships are created. Okay. So now this over here, if I show you something back again, right? So this is how a ER diagram looks like. Right now in this example, you have multiple tables, but in our case, right, in our current practical scenario, we have just created 2 tables. Now, if you will all take a look at this, you can understand that, okay, this table is linked to this table, and then this table is linked to this table. This table is also linked to this table, and this table is linked to this table. So that is how the relationship is. Now, this table is not connected to this, right? This table is connected to this is to this, and this is to this. So if you have to fetch any information regarding over here between these, you will have to first go inside this table, then inside this table, and then you will be able to fetch the information from here. Now this ER diagram that you are seeing right now, this can be created in the SQL Server also. If you come back to the SQL Server, you will notice that there is something called as database diagrams. There is something called as database diagrams. Now what you have to do is simply click on this, on that plus sign. SQL will give you a message over here that the database does not have any database diagram. Do you want to create it? So you will say yes. Okay, new database diagram. Now we have 2 tables. I will select both of them. So you can just watch for a minute, then you can all do it. And I'll click on add. You see, a ER diagram has been created where SQL is showing me that these two tables are connected to each other. Right? So if you hover on this, it will show you relationship between this table between TVL departments and employees. If suppose we had multiple tables, we would have been able to see the relationships between all those tables as well. Okay, so this is how a database diagram is created. So how do you create a database diagram? I'll just repeat the steps. You would be getting a plus sign, right? Let me refresh this. You all would be getting a plus sign. When you will click on that, you will get a message for, why is it not showing? Let me just save this. I have not saved it. This diagram, I will save this and by the same name. So now if I refresh this, you will find I have a database diagram. So how to create it? Just right click and say new database diagram, and it will create the database diagram. So it will open this new window. Select the two tables by pressing Control key and click on add, and it will add the two tables over here. And it will show you how the two tables are related. I hope you are able to get it. Perfect.
But I'm getting an error when I'm trying to insert values.
Error in?
When I'm trying to insert value, I think you also got that error.
Can you share your screen once?
So, one second. I created the table, TBL employees and employee ID, primary key, name, date,
Okay.
department ID. Okay, reference table, that's department ID is the foreign key.
So can you do one thing? Can you type a query, select star from?
Sorry?
Select star from TVL employees. Select star. TVL departments. Yeah. So run this. Actually, you have not executed that insert command.
This one, right? So yeah, so when I'm trying to execute this.
No. Actually, see, your department table is empty right now. Okay, so you have written the query of insert, but you have not inserted it.
Yes. Okay.
Now the data is there. Now it will work. Because the data was not there, so it was not taking it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now coming back to this. So I hope this now foreign key, this is now primary key and foreign key is clear to you, what a primary key is and what a foreign key is, right? So foreign key is a field, yeah, in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. Now when it comes to a primary key, right, one table can have only one primary key. But a table can have multiple foreign keys, right? One table can have one. So you're saying one table can have. We are saying that one table can have only one primary key. Okay, so a table can have one primary key, but it can have multiple foreign keys, right? So it is a key element in the relational database which helps to establish a link or a relationship between multiple tables. There can be only one or more foreign keys in the table, which may consist of single or multiple fields. What is the use of foreign key? It prevents invalid data from being inserted into the foreign key column, as it has to be one of the values contained in the point it is referring to. The table containing the foreign key is called as child table. Okay, so now if I come back to this, so this diagram, so this is the child table and this is the parent table, right? Because this table cannot have any department ID which is not present over here. So I'll call this foreign key table as child table and this is as parent table. Now tell me one thing. Okay, now just you have to think from that perspective. If suppose from this TBL department's data, right, this select star from TBL departments, you don't have to write the query, I'm just trying to ask something. If suppose from this table, what I do is I delete this row, I delete this second row, I delete this data. Will I be able to delete it?
No,
Why?
because we are there is another table which is referring to this two finance.
Correct. Now, because what is happening is now this department ID is being used in another table, that is TBL employees. Okay, so we have an employee Tom who is working in department 2. Now, if I remove the department, what will happen to Tom then, right? In which department will he go? So department is still, for him it is showing as 2 and you are removing this department. So if you have that foreign key primary key relationship, you will not be able to delete the data from here. If you will try to do it, it will throw an error that you cannot delete it because there's a foreign key constraint. So, but suppose this has to be deleted. Now this is something that has to be deleted. What shall I do in that case?
I think we should remove the foreign key reference.
Okay, but in that case, the complete relationship will be deleted, so it can create a problem for me.
Move all the people who were in department 2 to some other department and then delete.
Correct. Right. So because logically, if I am deleting a department, the employees that are already there, either they will be moved to some another department, right? That is what will happen in the industry. Right now, I'm just asking from this real time, the scenario. Definitely, if there were employees who were in department A, now department A is being renamed or department A has been merged with another department. So those employees will be assigned the new department. So you will have to first move them into the new department and then only you will be able to delete this. Okay. See, now what happens is over here, the two tables that we created, right? The tables that we created over here was this and this. Now these tables can have there was a relationship that was established between the two tables, right? There was a relationship, right? There was a relationship that was created between these two tables on the basis of department ID. Now, when we talk about relationships, now relationships are of different types. Okay, the relationships are of different type, and they are one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. Right? These are the different type of relationships that two tables can have. Okay, so one-to-one means that in which both the tables that you have, right? Like both the tables that you will have, they will only have one record in this table and one record in this table. Okay, that is called as one-to-one. Suppose in one table, I am storing the employee ID and his name. In another table, I am storing the employee ID and his PF account number and his values and the the PF amount. Now suppose now in this I have employee ID 1, 2 and 3 and employee name over here is suppose A, B and C. Over here also I will have employee IDs 1, 2, 3 and PF account number could be suppose A1, A2 and A3. These are the three different PF account numbers. Now, if suppose I say that in this table, this column is a primary key. So over here, employee ID can become a foreign key, that you cannot have any employee ID over here, which is not present in that table, right? So this becomes a foreign key. Now, if you will see, one employee can only have one account number. So that is why it will be a one-to-one relationship, right? One record in this table, and you will only find one account over here. Making sense? That is one-to-one relationship. Now, this is again, it's a normal understanding part that we are talking. So this has nothing to do with any technical part. It is just the understanding part. This is called as one-to-one relationship. When you have two tables, over here also you will have one record. Over here also you have one record. That is called as one-to-one. Now, similarly, you have one-to-many. One-to-many means like that was the case over here. Now, in this case, department ID could be 1. But there could be multiple employees in the same department, right? It can happen that if I say that, okay, in department 2, Tom is also working in department 2, Harry is also working in department 2, Sam is also working in department 2. So what is going to happen in that case is, in this table, you will have the department IDs coming multiple times. But in this table, department ID will be only 1. So that will make it one-to-many, right? One department ID to many department IDs over here. So the same department ID can be present multiple times in this table. So that makes it one-to-many. If you look at the structure from this side, it becomes one-to-many. And when you look at from this side, this becomes many-to-one. That many IDs over here will have just one matching ID over here. So that is called as many-to-one. It's just the way that how the data is present in the table. So we are just talking on that. Okay. And then lastly, we have many-to-many, right? Many IDs over here and many IDs over here. So that is called as many-to-many. See, now many-to-many relationship is something that exists only on paper, but in real time, it is never used, right? Many-to-many relationship is something that is never used because it creates a problem when you have to aggregate the data, which you will start making more sense when we will talk about the joins. Okay, so many-to-many means that many IDs over here and many IDs over there. That is what we mean by that. Like, for example, what I can do is I can give an example of see, like for example, an employee can have multiple addresses, right? He can have one permanent address and he can have a temporary address. And now when he is taking a cab, now for the cab also, he will have to, the transport table will also have to store both his addresses, because it can happen he might go to the home on location A day 1 and on the second day he is going to the location 2, right? So that is more like a many-to-many relationship, because one employee, if he's having more than one address, that makes it a many-to-many relationship, right? So that is something that is called as many-to-many. So in which what we have is, in both the tables, the same value is present multiple times. Okay, so one-to-many, one entity from entity set A can be associated at most one entity of entity set B. One-to-many, one-to-many, as in many entities from table A can be associated to only one. Then many-to-one and many-to-many. One entity from A can be associated with more than one entity from B and vice versa. So this is what the different type of relations that we have inside the tables, right? Let me show you an example also. So if you see, this is an example of one-to-one. Okay, so if you see right now that we have suppose a order table. Order table means that where suppose this is a small example from this is a small example picked up from superstore data that a person purchases something and then he plans to return. So a return can have only one-to-one, right? If you have purchased it, then only you can return it. You cannot return it 2 or 3 times. That is one-to-one relationship. One-to-many, customer table and order table, right? Suppose one customer can have multiple orders, right? He could have purchased order 1 also. He could have purchased order 2 also. That is one-to-many. Then the opposite way, many-to-one, right? Order table plus customer table. So it is just inverse, right? That is what I was explaining you. One-to-many and many-to-one are just opposite of each other. If you inverse the look, that becomes many-to-one. And then we have many-to-many. Many-to-many means the students, the multiple students that you have, they are studying the multiple subjects. So that is many-to-many over here that we have. Okay. Any doubt up till here? Anything that you feel that is not clear to anyone? Okay, so this is just we have seen. Okay, so physical tables.
I have one question.
Uh-huh.
So when we decide who has to be a parent and who has to be a child when joining two tables, how do we give priority to the parent and then to the table?
Sorry,
How do we give priority who should be the parent? Because both tables can have primary keys, both tables can have foreign keys. Like how we give priority in this, the department table was the parent table and the employee table was the child table, right?
Correct.
So
now if you see,
good.
if you see over, this is something that will come logically, right? By understanding of the data itself, we will be able to make that thing out. So if you see in this case, I cannot make this employees table as a parent table, right? If you just try to see it now, I cannot do that because employee ID is a primary key in this table, right? But primary key is employee ID is not present in this table now, correct? So that means there couldn't be a primary key foreign key relationship between these two tables. Primary key foreign key relationship could be only on the basis of these two tables, right? Now we know that a foreign key is something that is a primary key already in another table. Now department ID cannot be a primary key because we can have multiple employees with the working in the same department. So it doesn't have a chance of getting a primary key. If it cannot be a primary key, it cannot be a foreign key also, because it cannot be referenced as a foreign key also.
So in
the
table departments, employee ID was also mentioned apart from department ID and department name.
But if you will add department ID also, if you will add employee ID also, then don't you think that you are creating a duplicate data over here now? Because employee ID and department ID you have kept over here also. Department ID and employee ID you have kept over here also.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So now if you will try to store the information, you will have to say the employee ID 1, he is working in HR department, ID is 1. Then there is another employee, he is also working in the HR department and his ID is again 1. So now what happens is, again, employee ID will have to be a primary key in this case. So the essence of maintaining that non-duplicate data goes away. Right. So now if you will do it, so you will say, okay, you want to create it, you can create this over here. But now what will happen is, now these two tables can be connected only on the basis of employee ID now, because department ID over here will not be able to have the unique data. So it cannot be a primary key. So you will only have a chance of creating this column as primary key. So you will be creating the relationship. You will be able to create that now because both are primary key now. If you have employee ID over here and employee ID over here, both will be the primary keys kind of in this table. So the relationship will only be, you will be able to establish it between the basis of these two columns, which will be of not of lot of use over here.
The reason I was asking was because generally employee IDs are more unique than department. Like every employee will have one employee ID only, and across departments, like let's say travel or finance or any other department, usually employee ID for all the charts or sheets, like all the data used. An employee ID column is always there. So,
But see, employee ID is there. See, the idea of creating a database is that we should be able to store the data in a meaningful way, because when you fetch the data, so you will be actually fetching the data from multiple tables. Okay, that is how the complete database works. You do not save everything in one table.
right.
So
Exactly.
definitely, I agree your point that employee ID is something that will be used at multiple places.
Yeah.
But right now, just try to understand from this point. Now, if you talk about, suppose employee ID is something that will be there in the finance table also, the finance table that gives the salaries. Okay. Now, what is going to happen over there is they will say, okay, in the month of Jan, to the employee one, they gave the salary of 20,000. Then in the month of Feb, to the same employee, they gave the salary of 21,000. Right. Then in the month of March, to the same employee one, they gave the salary of 22,000. Right. Same way, they will have the information over here for the second employee also. Correct. Now, don't you think there has to be some consistency between this table and this table over here, the employee, where we are storing the employee ID, that what the name is and when did he join and in which department is he working. Now, finance is having the information at this level. So over here now, primary key is not, though we have an employee ID, but it is not a primary key right now, but it is a foreign key now, because now I can link it that this employee to whom I am going to give the salary, he should be present in this table now. Only then I will get to know that, okay, he's working with me. Okay. Okay, so let me, and say if there is a confusion, let me just, okay, I'll just come to it because otherwise it's a little complicated. I'll just come to that also. Okay. Now, so this is basically how a diagram is created, right? So this is how you create the diagram of that. That, okay, these are the tables and this is what you will be doing and you will be creating it. Now what we will be doing over here is basically, we will be starting with some more SQL, right? So like we have already seen that how we define the primary and a foreign key. There is something more which is called as unique key. Okay. Now unique key is also a type of a column. It is a column that will accept only the unique values and can accept null also. So when you create a table, you can define a column as a unique, right? Like for example, if you were creating a TBL employees table, right? Now in this TBL employees, suppose you are storing the Aadhaar number also. You are storing the Aadhaar, or I will say social security number, right? Which will be of again integer type or a character type of size 10. Now, all of you tell me, can this social security number, can this be duplicate? Can I have social security number as a duplicate? No, right? Can I define this as a primary key? Can I do that? Can I define this column as a primary key? Yep. Can I define it? No, right? Why? Because I have already defined employee ID as a primary key, and a table cannot have more than one primary key. But this is very important for me that, when I'm storing the when I'm storing the social security numbers of the employees, I have to ensure that I don't save a duplicate social security number, right? It can happen by mistake or something. So I might add or store the same social security number. So in order to ignore or avoid that error, what I will do is I will define this as unique. If you define social security number as unique, now unique means that this column is not going to, will not accept any duplicate value. And a table can have any number of unique keys. In a table, you can have any number of unique columns that you want to create. Okay. So if suppose you are storing the phone number also, suppose the mobile number, you can store that also as unique because two people cannot have the same mobile number. Okay. So this is where I think I'll take a stop for today. So we'll continue the things from here tomorrow. Okay. I mean on Monday now. So I'll maybe from Monday onwards, I will start sharing some stuff on the SQL as well because we will do some good SQL query writings on that Monday, and then I'll start sharing the assignments on that as well. Oh, I think again, we just missed that Excel part again, right? We had to discuss that, the doubt session on the Excel. Just skips my mind. Maybe what I'll do is Monday, I'll just put this as a reminder also that we first start with the Excel doubt queries only, and then I'll take it ahead. Okay. So anything before we walk out?
Hi. So in primary key, there cannot be duplicate values, right?
Right.
Okay. So it can be used to avoid any duplicate values in a particular column, like unique key.
So when you define, so primary key is something we use primarily for the concept of relationships.
Okay.
Right? So when you have to define the relationship, so you define that this is a unique column, and then you have a foreign key. So that is how we use it, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So on that basis, we can join two tables, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to read something before the
So you
next
can read a little bit about the select statements and the where clause and order by. Just these three things: select statements, where clause, and order by. Just try to read a little bit about this. That's it. Okay. So thank you all. So see you on Monday. Yep. Select statements, where, and order by.